How's it going, guys? Welcome to the Tech video for my Magic the Gathering Online EDH deck, starring my personal favorite creature in all of Magic the Gathering lore, Avacyn, Angel of Hope. Still a little sore about the blatant murder of her from Shadows over Innistrad, but let's get right into it. We're going to start off with one of the biggest features of the deck, the mana ramp. Now I know what you're thinking, mana ramp in mono white? You've got to be joking. But before you judge, just bear with me here for just a moment. Obviously what we have here are what I would consider to be some of the staple mana rocks. Hedron Archive being the only one different here. Why run it? Well, it'll help with our draw power that we'll cover later in the video. Yes, I've included Dowsing Dagger here simply because it does transform into Lost Veil, which I've honestly been calling Lotus Veil for the lulz. Cage Sun here just ups your supply of mana, and of course Nykthos. Do I really need to explain this one? Quick note for you guys, do not try and grab all the lands in your deck with Endless Horizons, it's not going to go well for you. You'll find both Myriad Landscape and Burnished Heart in this particular subcategory. The Orrery works with land tax here to get lands out of your hand as fast as possible. And then land tax. Again, do I really need to explain this one? Okay, now that we've seen what was going to get us to where we can cast the scary things in our deck, let's move on to our terrifying creatures. So as you can see here, there were a few humans in the deck. A couple of these guys will spit out more soldiers, which we'll cover in the next section. Sarah Ascendant, I've seen a lot of people scoop out of a game after a turn 1 Ascendant. Okay, so we have a lot of soldiers here. Bannerless Commander benefits the most from having all these guys, but they're pretty cheap on mana cost to help us go wide. And by that I mean we get more bodies out than our opponents can block and just hit them in the face. You have a couple birds here as well, I love these guys. Mentor of the Meek plays into that draw power we're covering later. Raise the Alarm might not seem strong, but I can't argue 2 mana for 2 bodies. Then we have a couple of guys here that will make our other soldiers even cheaper, and Offensive makes our guys a bit stronger. Martial Coup is super effective as a field wipe, but if you can't get X to equal 5, then it just helps pop out some more guys. Odric takes that go wide concept and takes away the blocking entirely. Captain of the Watch, Elspeth, more bodies. Sun Titan comes in clutch, bringing back some of the cheaper guys you lost earlier in the game. Emeria Shepherd. Let me tell you guys about this real quick. This thing has some awesome synergy. Shepherd plus Burnished Heart equals shenanigans. And you may see this interaction a few times in the following episodes. Linvala's here to say that your mana dorks, amongst other things, aren't going to work anymore. Angelic Arbiter is self-explanatory. Angel of the Dire Hour. Talk about pulling the win out of nowhere. Cozy. Draw power, shuffle power, and mill protection. Thanks, I'll take it. So we have a few cards here that give a mass buff to your field, and a couple equipment here to help Avacyn not be touched by paths or swords or anything that may exile her for that matter. So now that we know what our army is going to consist of, let's say they're killed. What can we do to bring them back? I'm glad you asked. So we run a few cards here that bring cards back from the dead. 2 cards that literally say the same thing for the same amount of mana. Yay, redundancy! A land that resurrects a creature every turn is always nice. Sun Titan has his limits, then Emeria Shepherd just gets silly when that synergy with Burnished Heart hits. Obviously we need to be able to survive long enough to play these things and become a real threat on the table. So what we're going to cover next is what's going to allow us to reach that point. Tormod script. Looking at you Marin of Clan Neltoth players. Also, I enjoy turning off commanders. I'll exile anything I possibly can, we'll stop combat any way we possibly can, and if they get through anyways, well, we can carry answers for that as well. Okay, so now we can get into the real meat of what would make an Avacyn Angel of Hope deck an Avacyn deck. So we finally get her out on the field. But you're so far into the game, your opponents may have some scary things on the field too. Well, there's plenty of things we can do to take care of that. Let's get into it. Let's be honest here, what Avacyn Angel of Hope deck wouldn't run a disc? Elspeth can get rid of some of the things bigger than your soldiers if you get her out before Avacyn. Day of Judgment and Wrath of God, because why wouldn't we? Then we have Fumigate, which is a field wipe with a plus side for me in case I need to blow up my soldiers. I'm okay with that. Hour of Revelation being a huge upgrade for planar cleansing. The Angel is situational, but it will work if need be. Maybe you can't get rid of their field, then maybe we should get rid of their ability to play anything at all. Okay, I know I've mentioned it a few times at this point, so maybe we should go ahead and cover it. So there's not actually a whole lot of draw power in the deck. Sensei's Top is more like Halimar Depths on an artifact. I can see when I'm going to draw and choose the order of it, but it can be extremely slow. Mentor of the Meek should get triggers pretty often given the number of little guys we use. Hedron Archive being an easy draw too. Journal can either be draw power or a tutor. Love the flavor text on it. At least Tamio knew it wasn't Avacyn's fault. Damn you, Soren. Orrery, if you did things right, you could be drawing 4 cards every turn once this hits, and it can give you the advantage really quickly. And Cozy lets you draw 4? Thanks, buddy! Alright guys, that's all I've got for you here today. If you want to see this list in its entirety, you can check the tapped out link down in the description below. Also, below you will find links to any social media page that I have. I also do streams on Twitch. I tend to post on social media about an hour before starting a stream, so if you don't want to miss anything, follow me. I'll catch you later.